Hi everyone, this is Mordi Spero. I'm the chapter advisor for Greater Washington and Atlantic Seaboard. And I just wanted to share a story that I thought related well to this week's Parsha and the last couple weeks that have been going on in the Parshios. There was a escape artist who went by the name The Great Felipe, right? And he wanted to do something that nobody's ever done before. He wanted to tightrope across Niagara Falls. So he advertises, he puts up his posters, his flyers, and he shows up to Niagara Falls. There's a nice sized crowd there. And he gets up there in front of the entire crowd. He turns to the crowd and he says, I'm going to tightrope across Niagara Falls because I am the Great Felipe and I am the man. Okay, the crowd's waiting to see this. He tightropes. He goes one step, two steps. He tightropes across the entire Niagara Falls. And the entire place starts cheering for him, right? They're going crazy. He turns to the crowd and he says, Do you want to know why I was able to walk across Niagara Falls? And they yell back at him, because you are the Great Felipe and you are the man. And he says, because I am the Great Felipe and I am the man. So now everyone starts texting their friends, tweeting, Facebook, the whole deal, right? They're getting their friends to get to this place. And the crowd's getting bigger. And he says, for my next trick, I'm going to walk across Niagara Falls backwards. And everyone's waiting to see this, right? This guy's crazy. He says, do you want to know why I'm going to be able to walk across backwards? Because I am the Great Felipe and I am the man. And he starts, right, he takes one step backwards, two steps, makes his way across Niagara Falls backwards. And the place goes nuts. Everyone's going crazy, right? He turns to the crowd and he says, why was I able to walk across Niagara Falls backwards? They said, because you're the Great Felipe and you're the man. He says, because I am the Great Felipe and I am the man. He says, for my next trick, I'm going to walk across blindfolded. And the place is going nuts. The crowd's multiplied by 10. There's so many people there, right? They're all going crazy. This is history. He puts the blindfold on, takes one step, takes two steps. He makes his way across Niagara Falls blindfolded, and the place is shaking. It's so loud, everyone is going nuts. He turns to the crowd and he says, why was I able to walk across blindfolded? They yell back at him, because you're the Great Felipe and you're the man. He says, because I am the Great Felipe and I am the man. For my last trick, I'm going to push a wheelbarrow across the tightrope while blindfolded. Everyone's waiting with bated breath. This is crazy. He says, I need a volunteer in the wheelbarrow. Silence. No one says a word. He says, I need a volunteer to be in the wheelbarrow for me to push it. Nobody steps up. Everyone is quiet. Why? Because they all were willing to yell, you are the Great Felipe and you are the man. And they believed in him to an extent. They didn't fully believe in him. And we see a very similar concept in this week's Parsha, right? We see last week we already had 7 of the 10 Makos, 7 of the 10 plagues. And Hashem says to Moshe and Aaron, he says something very strange. He says that he wants the Bnei Yisrael, he wants the Jewish people to understand that Ani Hashem Elokechem, right? That I am Hashem their God. And you would think that after these Makos, right, after you already saw blood and the frogs and everything else that's going on, that for sure you believe in him. You for sure believe that Ani Hashem Elokechem. But yet it says that the Jews did not fully believe Ani Hashem Elokechem, that Hashem was their God, until he splits the sea for them. Right? After all the plagues that happen, he takes them out of Egypt, until he actually splits the sea, they don't fully believe. Which is just a crazy concept. But then when you look at all of us in our regular lives, right, and you can understand a little bit, that we all have a little bit of belief. We all have a little sense of faith in God, right? When things are going great, when things are going phenomenal, right, we're like, thank God, right? Everything is going great. You believe everything's great. But then what happens when things aren't going so well? When there's a little bump in the road, when things aren't going perfectly, is it Ani Hashem Elokechem, right? Do we believe Hashem is our God? Or are we on the sideline waiting for somebody else to step into the wheelbarrow? Are we waiting for somebody else to show how much they believe? Because we don't believe enough to get into that wheelbarrow. And it's something we can all work on, that maybe when things aren't necessarily going so perfectly, when things aren't going so great, we can still show God, I believe in you. Ani Hashem Elokechem, that I am your God, that I believe that God is doing everything for the best. And I really believe that, and I'll get into that wheelbarrow. I will yell, you're the Great Felipe and you're the man. And I'll also get into the wheelbarrow and let you push me across Niagara Falls. Shabbat Shalom. Have a great Shabbos, everybody.